Welcome to episode 219 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here, and this week, Dusty Grant's making his debut on our podcast.
Finally.
Yeah, we've been saying, we're going to do it, and we just talk about it and never made it happen, but finally, we made it happen recently, so Here we are. Dusty Grant will be coming up here shortly, but first we need to let you know, we are sponsored by MedFarm and DEB Concerts. MedFarm is a dispensary located at 24683 East Highway 51 in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. They have a huge selection, and if you get in there any Friday or Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., they have a doctor on site if you need to get a card. If you already have a card, just go in there and tell them that Thunder Underground sent you, and they'll give you 10% off your order, which is very cool. Also, 30% of their profits go to help build no-kill animal shelters, which is even cooler.
There you go.
Yeah, so a huge shout-out to them for that. And also follow them on Facebook at MedFarm. That's PHARM. They're always doing contests and giveaways, running specials where if you come in at certain times, you get discounts, all that kind of stuff. So you need to follow them. Also follow them on Instagram at MedFarmOK. And get in there and support these guys. Also, DEB Concerts keeps bringing some rock and roll to Tulsa. We're really happy about it. And recently, just this past week, they brought Snoop Dogg and Nelly, which is a big thing because they brought it to the BOK Center. So very cool to see DEB Concerts making the arena game happen now too. So we'll see what happens with that in the future. But they've also brought acts like Saxon, Tom Kiefer, Sebastian Bach, Warrant. A huge long list out there to the IDL Ballroom. And there'll be more announcements on that coming soon. But in the meantime, one thing we know for sure is Rocklahoma is May 23rd through 26th. And DEB Concerts booked the acts for the D&B processing stage. This is their third year sponsoring that stage. And this year, the pre-party will kick off with Slaughter headlining that stage. And we just recently had Mark Slaughter on this podcast a couple episodes ago.
Damn right.
And that day will also feature the KISS tribute band Strutter. The other three nights will feature Ace Frehley headlining, Lita Ford headlining, and Beasto Blanco headlining, which he will probably be on this podcast soon.
You never know.
I'm just saying probably because it's supposed to happen very shortly, but we're recording this thing 3 weeks in advance, so if it doesn't happen, sue me. What are you going to do? It's our podcast.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. You're just spilling all the details, all the secrets, letting everybody know.
I figured if we didn't announce it now, no one would know for a month, you know?
Yeah, true.
But yeah, Chuck Garrick, Beasto Blanco, even if something tragic happens and he's not on this podcast, he will still be at Rocklahoma. They are a kick-ass live band, so check that out. Other bands out there, Zen Hipster, Jason's band right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Normandies, Grind, First Strike, Driver, Down for Five, Dead Metal Society, Rocket Science, Poster Child, Doxy, the Midnight Devils, Charlie Bonnet, and the Fulkin Gas Holes.
I love that.
And many more. So yeah, get out there. Ratchet Dolls.
I have two things.
Okay.
I mean, since you just, let the cat out of the bag that we're recording these in advance, whatever.
But we did that last week, too.
We did?
Yeah.
Now, again,
you had a few beers on that
you
one.
Did that, and I was against it. Whatever, Trent.
No, that was your idea last time.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
My idea this time.
Fuck you.
I think we're even now.
Okay, fine. Well, in any case, we're even. My apologies. What you could have done, because I'm pretty sure we got to do a few intros today.
Yeah.
You could have just waited till we did an intro after the interview, so you knew for sure.
Right.
But who knows? Whatever. I don't know. And second of all, I want to give a shout out to Surviving Rocklahoma Facebook page and Adam from that page. He played Zen Hipster last night.
You mean he played Zen Hipster 3 weeks ago?
That's what I'm just saying. But
okay.
Like I said, no, what I meant is you let the cat out of the bag. So
right. I got you.
We're already recording. So I just said, hey, he played us. And, if you guys saw that was awesome. He also talked up us, Thunder Underground, and he talked up the benefit for The Bachelor that, you know, that is to happen or about to happen.
Right.
So, in any case, just, you know, much appreciation. Thank you for the exposure and getting the word out.
Yeah, Surviving Rocklahoma every Sunday night, live on Facebook.
Yes.
So get on there, follow their page, and
He should have us on there sometime.
that's true. He mentioned, we talked about it last year,
Well,
but
you
then
know.
didn't make it happen before, the Rocklahoma season kind of died out after the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got a couple months to.
Yeah, well,
that
we can't anytime soon because you got to go and be a fucking concert festival badass traveler type kind of person. So whatever.
Right.
I see how it is.
Yeah. We'll see if we can make that happen in May or June.
Okay. Good.
That kind of covers everything, right?
Yeah, I think
That
so.
we can talk about because we don't know what's new in the world of rock in April.
We don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I don't know. Fucking
They could have announced
Dave Mustaine might sprain his ass at a concert or something.
Right.
You just never know what's going to happen.
By now they could have announced several more big four shows, one of which was in Tulsa, Oklahoma in September of this year.
Yeah. God, I wish that'll never happen.
I know. But what we do know is that Dusty Grant and Sprout the Anti-Hero are going on the second Booze, Bars, and Guitars tour.
Yes.
That kicks off this June, actually June 6th, and runs through June 16th, I believe. Or 15th, sorry. And they're hitting cities like Denver, Colorado Springs, Midland, Wichita, Norman, Tulsa, and a couple more in there as well. But yeah,
All points in between.
yeah. So look out for that. But in the meantime, both of them are playing shows as well. Dusty's got a bunch of dates coming up, I know, in Wichita and Omaha and, a few other cities. So get on Facebook and follow Dusty Grant. That way you won't miss what's coming up.
Definitely.
But yeah, like we mentioned right out the gate, we've talked about this for quite a while. We got to know Dusty Grant after the first Booze, Bars, and Guitars tour, because I went on that tour with the two of them and got to know Dusty pretty good, and that was last June, and since then you met him during that tour, and we got to know him. We played his song several times since, and we kept saying we're going to make this happen, and here we are almost a year later, but better late than never, right?
That's right. We got it.
Yeah.
Great to have Dusty on. What he's doing right now is really cool. It's some good, atmospheric, acoustic stuff. Yet there's still a groove and there's still some weight to it. So, we finally made it happen.
Yeah, and it's cool when you hear acoustic stuff that really lends to the rock crowd,
Of course.
People that like, because he comes from a metal background, so people that like rock or metal would hear this and like it because it's still got that feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best way to put it. So let's just get into this here. Here's Dusty Grant.
The only thing you'd risk with me is you'll hear a baby scream, and then it'll just go mute. I'll have to run and save the day.
All right.
But yeah, I'm hopefully secluded away from the animals here, so we should be fine.
Cool. Well, yeah, glad we're finally doing this because we've been talking about this basically since that tour last year that we needed to get you on here. So better late than never, I guess.
I'm stoked, man. It's amazing how quickly the year has gone by. It seems like I was just finishing stuff up, and I'm like, man, I got a long time to play shows, and right now I'm right in the thick of it, just getting started. So it's just, man, time is flying by flown by since that tour, and it looks like we're going to be doing that again as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like you've got a ton of dates lined up, even, outside of that tour, right? Like in March, April, May.
Yeah, everything kind of picks up for me right now. I've got one in Wichita this Friday, and then I go to El Dorado, Kansas on Saturday. And then I play with Whiskey Dick here in Wichita on April 3rd. And then, man, after that I go Omaha, Junction City, Kansas, and then we hit the tour where, of course, we're hitting, 8 dates in 10 days and 4 different states. And then I got a bunch of stuff starting to land after that as well. So it looks like I booked another Tulsa date today for later in the summer after the tour. And yeah, it's just starting to kind of pick up a little bit. So everything's getting a little bit crazier.
Nice. So
which is good.
What are your, ideally, what do you want, to do? Do you have a set number of shows you want to do in a year, or have you thought about it that way?
Last year I definitely thought about it. I was counting as I was going, and then as I kind of paced things and looked at my schedule on what I could actually do, I was like, if I can hit 40 dates this year, that'll be a huge step for me in my first year gigging. I haven't been out at all before last year, really. I played a couple shows the year before as kind of warm-ups, but so yeah, I wanted to play 4. I had booked 19 or 20 for the first half of the year, and I'm like, it's a realistic goal for me to say I could do 40 before the end of the year. So then I just kind of got on the grind on the booking side of things and got it done. I ended up playing 40 last year, and so far I think I've got 21 booked this year. But there's a couple that a couple things that I've passed on too. There was a couple things I took last year that I was, I wasn't super stoked about taking it. I didn't get a chance to play for anybody, or it wasn't the kind of audience where I could actually convert someone into a listener, or make a contact or whatever it is, or any friends or anything. It was like I just showed up. I was background noise, and then I left, and they paid me, and that was it. There's nobody there actually sitting listening to music.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of trying to steer away. I've been trying to steer away from some of those this year. So I'm kind of trying to focus on quality over quantity. But this year, it seems like the quantity that I'm getting is quality. So it seems like the quality of shows that I'm getting is improved a little bit. So I can take more of them if that continues to happen. It's a lot easier to get out of town when you're not just deadheading on a Sunday night, having no idea what it's going to be. And I did some of that last year, and it didn't pay off. It didn't pay off financially. I don't think it paid off for the venue. It doesn't pay off for me being gone from my family and coming back with nothing, that kind of thing. So it's just, I've been a little more selective this year, but so far it hasn't really hindered me. It feels like everything's been going pretty good. So I'm fortunate to have what I've got booked so far.
So doing all these shows, 40 shows, I mean, what have you learned about your songs or even your voice that, you didn't know before you started all this?
The songs I've learned, man, no matter how many times I play through some of these songs, even the very first songs I wrote on the acoustic when I first picked it up, which I'm still kind of incorporating into my set, because those songs are still new, relatively new. There's a lot of people that haven't heard them, but I've just heard, no matter how many times I think I play through them, if I let myself slack on the rehearsal and getting the actual reps of playing the songs, there's a difference between being good on the guitar and have your voice good, and then there's being show good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I can't just sit around on my deck, and watch the boys run around and loaf and kind of pick on my guitar and chill and just relax and kind of play my stuff, and then show up to a show and expect that I'm just gonna kill it. Because usually what happens is I get up there, I sound check, I start playing through the first song, and I realize how unprepared I was, and it's like this confidence killer. So I've tried to be a little more diligent of getting show ready. So if people do actually come see me, that they're not going to catch me on a night where it's a dud. I'm trying to keep it more consistent. Mm-hmm. I've learned though, it's a grind, man. My voice has held up really well because I mostly did metal before. So I was screaming and doing all that stuff. So compared to that, this stuff is more challenging, maybe pitch wise and remembering lyrics and doing stuff, playing guitar and all that type of stuff. But as far as the actual physical aspect of it, the screaming is pretty brutal, and then you're running around on stage, jumping all over the place, going crazy and screaming. And this is just a completely different animal. Like, you've got to be collected, and I've really learned last year too that I got to take a little better care of myself. I have to drink some water. I got to mix a freaking piece of fruit in every once in a while. Got to try to get to bed. Just got to do some stretches. Got to incorporate some warm ups and stuff like that, because for most, there's guys out there playing 200 shows a year, and they're saying, man, this guy only plays 40. That's nothing. But, in comparison to them playing shows, it's nothing. But, I still work full time and do all that type of stuff too. So doing what I'm doing is pretty, it's a grind, that's for sure.
You kind of alluded to it, but just kind of talk about the transition from being in a band to being up on the stage by yourself. Like, was it really intimidating, just kind of being there with no one else to kind of, take the the cushion there with you or whatever?
Yeah, it's terrifying. I'm a completely different person playing solo. I have nowhere to hide from anything. When you're up there, it's like I don't even have a pedal. I don't even have effects pedals, nothing, man. I have my guitar and a tuner and a mic, and that's it. So there's really nowhere to hide. If you're not on, anybody that knows music at all is going to hear it immediately. And it's just terrifying. I can remember being like, when we would play shows in the metal bands and stuff, I can remember just being like so amped. I'm just gonna get out there and slay. I just want to get the mic and go crazy. And I wasn't playing guitar or anything either. So you're putting on you're moving around a lot. You're trying to put on a show and get the crowd into it and all that type of stuff too. And when you're playing solo acoustic, there's not as much of that going on, But yeah, it's a major difference. Now I'm more focused on, okay, are you going to hit the bridge when you sing this lyric? We need to switch to this chord. Do you have the lyrics memorized for this new one you wrote, this cover that you're playing? Remember that one part that's tricky? Like, I'm thinking of like little checklists of stuff that come through my set that I need to be focused on, and the stuff that I've practiced and tried to clean up. And it's a completely different animal, man. I would call it way more terrifying than playing in a metal band. And I think that's part of the reason I like it, because it's a test. It's a test of your chops and your courage. How bad do you want to do it? Because I've had shows where I wanted to be up there for about a minute and I wanted to run away. I had to sit up there for 45 minutes and gut it out. And it's like you learn a lot about yourself as a musician and as a person when you do that kind of stuff, And that's part of the reason I think I like the solo thing so much, is because it's just such a test all the time.
What was it that pushed you into doing that after you decided to be solo? I mean, what gave you the passion to just make it you and an acoustic guitar?
Well, I was playing in bands with guys I was good friends with, but at the same time, I have a family and I have a schedule, and then schedules don't really meet up or whatever, and guys can't practice at the right times. And then we had a bunch of turnover with bass players. It seemed like every week we were training a new bass player. We could never write anything new because we were gigging so much, and we were spending all our time trying to get the bass players gig ready, And I just got tired of it, and we kind of got in a rut. I was like, I'm just gonna take a break from this for a while. So I took a break from it. I joined another band that was like a studio project called Borgia. We released one single, and it just wasn't working out. It was too much time, and it was this and that. I'm like, I'm just going to pick up this freaking acoustic and write a couple tunes and post something on Facebook. And if anyone likes it, I'm just going to go that direction, because I can manage it. I can control my own destiny a little bit more. I can work it around my schedule, and I can still stay busy. And all the work that I put in, it's going to come back to me directly. Whereas opposed to when you're in a band, you might do a bunch of the work, and the other guys that haven't done much might point it out. And then after they watch you do all the work, they want to be critical of your work, and then you get pissed, and it's like the drama, man. So I got a little bit sick of the drama too. And now, all the work that I put into, I get back out of it directly. And that's not to say that it's easy by any stretch of the imagination. There's some major disadvantages to being solo, but so far I've liked it just because I can work at my speed. I don't have to answer to anybody. It's not a democracy. It's just me doing how I want to do it, what I want, when I want, and you know, putting stuff out there that represents me, and just keep trying to test myself and just grind and push forward. That's kind of what it's all about for me now.
Well, you know, having said all that, I mean, is there anything that would, you know, compel you to try out a band situation again, or do you still want to?
Oh, absolutely.
Do
yeah.
you still want to do heavy stuff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a metalhead at heart.
Uh-huh.
You know, my tastes have changed a little as I get older, but I'm definitely a metalhead at heart. I really miss that. I really miss that, going up on stage with guys and jamming, and you get in a groove and the crowd's feeling it. And when you're playing heavy shit, there's just nothing quite like being at a metal show, especially when it's a good crowd and the band's slaying. It's like, there's just nothing like that. You know, it's just so awesome to do. And especially when you're playing it and the crowd's into it and you're doing all that stuff, it's like, it's a different kind of release. I would certainly be open to it. It would just have to be the right situation. You know, guys that I knew and had a lot of faith in, or, you know, a professional situation where it was like, hey, this is what we want to do. There's a plan lined out. I can't go through the, you know, the old school way of like putting up flyers, putting a band together, trying people out over and over and over, people lying to you about their abilities. And then they show up and they waste your time. I'm getting to the point where I'm a little older now, and I'm like, I don't want to waste my fucking time with that shit anymore. You know what I mean? Some guy over email tells me he can play like, you know, Mark Morton, and then he gets there, and you know, the other guitar player is like, all right, this is what we're playing, and the guy's completely lost. Like, it's never picked up the guitar in his life. It's like, all right, well, you just wasted our fucking day here, you know, like. There's a lot. There's a lot of guys out there that lie about their abilities, you know. And it's so prevalent in the music scene as anywhere else. It's like, man, you're gonna eventually have to prove all this shit you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to show up with some good guitar players, and they're gonna say, hey, man, we're playing a sweep arpeggio in A. Here's what it's going to be. And the guy's like, what? You know, right away, he's out of his element, but you spent a whole week talking to the guy, screening the guy, you get the jam space set up, you cancel your normal rehearsals, you bring a guy in, you're like, all right, we're going to have someone to jam with today, and, you know, kind of put them through the ringer, and two notes into it, they're freaking kicked out of the jam spot, you know? It's part of the reason I learned to play drums. The last band I was in, we were looking for a drummer for so long that I actually, while we were looking, I learned how to play drums.
Wow.
And then when we were auditioning people, that were like, hey, if you can't play drums better than our singer, you're not our drummer. And so we would like show them the songs, and I'd play it, and like, can you play that? And the guy'd be like, I don't think I can play that. We're like, well, then you're out.
Wow.
And it just got so frustrating with members, man. That's a huge reason I'm solo. But yeah, super long-winded on that one. But yeah, I would definitely consider if the right project came about, for sure.
Cool. Well, speaking of projects, you finally got the Trapped Here EP out just recently. Talk about how that feels to finally get that out to the world as a piece of music.
Man, it feels amazing, man. When I first started to play solo, that was a big goal of mine. I wanted to play a bunch of shows. I wanted to tour. Those were two big things that I really wanted to do. But then the other thing was I want to release an album. You know, I don't want to just record a couple singles on my cell phone and put them out. Like, I want to go in and work with a producer, and I want to go in and really test myself and put my best foot forward, and, you know, go in there and get it right. So this one took a while. You know, I learned a lot about myself while I was recording this stuff, and the stuff I had recorded previously to this, obviously, but I learned a lot about, you know, the production side of it, the dynamics, songwriting, my abilities, things I need to be working on, things I need to focus on, things I need to showcase, things I need to get away from. So there's a lot of that in this. As far as the lyrical content, it's all really real. I think anybody that listens to it can identify with it in some part of their life or whatever. It's a pretty dark record. And I really feel like right now it's the best representation of me that I could have put out. So that feels really good. I don't go back and listen through it and go, man, I wish I would have fixed that. Or man, there's something in there. I should have changed that, or I should have rewritten that part, or should have done something different there, or whatever. I listen to this and I don't have any of that. And for me personally, regardless of how it does or how many copies I sell or streams I get, no matter what happens, I'll always have it. And I'll always be able to go, hey, that's a record that I wrote, that I put together, that I did, I put the work in, and I recorded it. And it just makes me really proud to have it out there. It seems like a few people seem to be digging it. It's hard at my level to get it out on like this mass scale or anything, but the people that have heard it seem to like it. And so far that's all I can ask for. Now I got to go out and play a bunch of shows and push it and get people listening,
Recorded this with Chris Dawson, and he's worked with you on some of your previous singles. What's the experience like working with him?
It's incredible. You definitely can't go in there. You definitely can't go in there with no lead in your pencil. When you get in there, you better be ready to work, and you're not gonna be able to take any shortcuts. He's super honest and super transparent about everything, and he just wants to make the best song possible. He can see things in you that you don't see it in yourself, and bring things out of you while you're recording that you didn't know you had. And that type of thing. So it's an environment that's super laid back and chill, but it's also like hyper productive. I feel like I play 50 shows every time I go to record a song. You know what I mean? It's just, you get so familiar with the parts of that song and the intricacies and the details and the dynamics and the little things that you can do in songwriting. The production just really make the songs stand out a little more. I learned so much, and he's just such a cool guy, so fun to work with. It was just an amazing experience. And then, Jimmy came down and helped with a couple songs. And he's an absolute monster on every instrument that, and he's just, having a guy like that helping you with your stuff is just, it seemed a little surreal to me, to be working with those guys, to be honest, because I'm big fans of what they've done, and I'm big fans of what they're doing now too. So.
Yeah, I mean, they both had a ton of experience with music, so it's kind of probably a big thing to, in the early stage of your solo career, to be able to have that in your back pocket, basically. Yeah,
for sure. And it's a little bit, it's intimidating. I'll be honest. I record some demo on my cell phone, some shitty idea that I have, or some idea, and I think about the idea and screen it pretty hard before I'll even send it over, because I know if I send some bullshit over, he's going to go, yeah, we're not recording that. You know what I mean? It makes you work on your songwriting and just, before you pitch something, kind of knowing what you need to have in mind, how you're going to prepare everything, and how you're going to prepare yourself for a session and all that type of stuff. It's just it's a really cool process, and for a hack like me to have a chance to record with guys like that, it's just like I just count my blessings when I get a chance to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you mentioned the dark lyrical content a little while ago. Like, where does that come from? Is that something that you're digging out from the past?
Yeah, a lot of it's stuff that I dig up from the past. A lot of it's, I think I deal with some depression. I think I deal with some anxiety. There's nobody out there that's harder on me than me. I tend to torture myself over mundane stuff sometimes, and if I know I'm doing it. And I've had some things that have happened in the past that have, really changed my perspective on, how people can be and what things are actually about. So that's a lot of, there's a lot of catharsis in this album for sure. I'm finding the last couple things I've written aren't quite as dark. I mean, they're heavy content and stuff like that, but they're not quite as dark, because I think genuinely now I'm a little bit happier, a lot of the stuff I wrote from Trapped Here is the super gloomy parts, the rock bottom parts, you know, the parts where you're freaking living in your friend's basement and you don't know what you're going to be doing the next day, and that, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that in that record, and then now it's changed a little bit. I write about a little different stuff, about little different experiences I've been writing about, you know, going on the road a little bit, and how it affects you and how it affects your family, because everyone thinks it's just like this freaking party all the time, and Trent, you know that that's not the case, you know.
Yeah.
Well, talk about speaking of touring, talk about touring with Sprout and how you guys kind of complement each other.
It's been great, man. He's a guy that I met when he was back in Kingshifter when I was doing Empire Falling. We were both kind of at the same time doing regional gigs and stuff like that, and he and I came across each other just playing some shows together and stuff, and we always hit it off from the very beginning. You know, he seemed like a kind of a no bullshit, drama free guy, so I tend to gravitate to those kind of people. I can handle you telling me like it is. I'd rather have you not bullshit me, and he doesn't seem to do a lot of bullshit, and so he and I became friends, and we played some shows together in the metal bands and stuff like that, but then I kind of got out on the solo path, and he was doing the Screaming Red Mutiny stuff. And I think I had got out there by myself just a little before he had, or maybe he played 1 or 2 gigs solo before I'd gone out. But he and I hadn't really been in touch all that much, aside from, you know, being on Facebook and stuff like that. But he one day hit me up. He's like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey, I'm going solo." He's like, "We should do some gigs together and stuff like that." I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be fucking awesome, man. Get me down to Tulsa. I'll get, you know, he can obviously book up here himself too, since he's from here." But we started doing some show trades and stuff like that, and we got, after, you know, a show or two, he and I both got to talking, because he's just like me. He wants to get on the hustle, and you know, we played a couple shows together, and we talked about doing a tour, and you know, literally a few weeks after we talked about it, we were already booking shows, and that was the Booze Bars Guitars tour last year. He really compliments me. He seems to have a pretty good network of folks around, where he seems to have, you know, he's got friends in a lot of places, just because he's got a lot of touring experience. Being able to go on the road with a guy that's got that type of experience, it helps a guy that doesn't have that kind of experience, which, you know, I've got some one-offs and stuff like that, but I'd never been out on extended runs before that run last year. So just having him there to kind of tell me, you know, what to expect and all that kind of stuff. But man, he's been a huge compliment. He's got people everywhere. He promotes his ass off. He's got great content. He puts a badass show on. It seemed like every room we went into, every room we go in together, we end up walking away and everybody's freaking smiling and happy. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We've kind of gone in and taken a little different angle on the singer-songwriter stuff. You know, we're not your typical coffee shop singer-songwriter guys. We're both metal guys that kind of write heavy shit but play acoustic guitars, and you know, we're just a little different for the singer-songwriter thing. We're not country, you know, we're a little different, so it's been kind of weird booking. You know, we get booked with metal acts, you know, sometimes I get booked with, you know, country type stuff, and then I do a coffee shop gig and all this stuff, and it's just weird. I don't really know where I fit in as like a dark rock guy in the acoustic genre. You know, it's just weird. But he's one of the few in the area that does it. He's not in the area anymore, but he's one of the few around that does it, and he and I have got stuff booked, you know, pretty far out front. So I don't see that he and I are going to stop doing stuff together, because we've had a lot of success working together. And we don't have bands around us, you know. Bands have 4 or 5 guys that can kind of share the workload. When you team up with other solo acts and they kind of help you share the promotional workload, or they might help you book a couple dates on a run, or, you know, they might help you share your stuff, or they might help you with a contact somewhere here and there. Having a couple solo acts that do the same type of stuff that are humble enough to work as a team has been really helpful, I think, for all of us, really, to grow our network. So that's been an awesome compliment. And it's, you know, it's just icing on the cake. It's like you get to hang out with one of your buddies too, and we never have 1 ounce of drama. You know, it's fun and laid back, and we both know what we're out there to do, and that's what we do. So it's pretty awesome.
And you've got the Booze Bars and Guitars too coming up. Is this something that, like, ideally you think you guys would want to make an annual thing now?
If we can, I mean, I don't. If we can, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. Last year was pretty. I mean, Trent, you were there. I thought it was pretty awesome. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it was a great experience for me, just to get the touring experience. Even though we weren't out for a great deal of time or anything like that, that's just an experience that I've always wanted as a musician. And now I just kind of took the reins myself, and now we're doing it. And we're, you know, this year it looks like our bookings are heavier. We're going to have more dates for a longer period of time, but it looks like our routing's better too, and we've got a little better shows, and it just seems like we learned a lot from the last one. So, you know, going from the first one to the second one, imagine what we can take to the third one when both of us have had records out for a year. You know, you never know what could happen. So, yeah, it's definitely something. If the momentum continues, there's no reason to stop doing it. I don't see myself calling it anytime soon.
Well, as far as music goes, are you looking ahead? Are you thinking about putting out more singles, kind of like you did before this album came out?
You know, I'm thinking about it. I've got, you know, it's funny. I sent Dawson a demo. I bought a cigar box guitar from a guy, and I've just been dicking around on that thing, and I wrote a tune on it and then sent it over to Dawson, and he's like, "Man, you haven't even released your album yet. Why are you sending me demos?" I don't know. I'm just coming up with ideas. So I've got, yeah, man, I would say I've got 2 or 3 more new songs ready on top of what I've got recorded. So either another EP, depending on how long it takes and how busy the show schedule gets, or if I do record an EP, I would probably have to take some time off between shows to record it. So it's I've kind of got to pick. So if the bookings get slow, I might focus a little more on recording. But if I keep getting opportunities to play, I'm going to kind of strike while the iron's hot, because I got a bunch of CDs to get rid of, you know, and my biggest goal with the Trapped Here EP is I just want people to listen to it. You know, I'm not trying to get rich or anything like that. I just want people to listen to it because I'm proud of it. And I want other people to take a listen and go, "Hey, this is pretty good," or "Hey, man, maybe you should think about doing something else because you suck," you know, or whatever it is. But you know, it's something that I worked really hard on, and I've got a piece of my freaking heart in that record. And every time I hand that CD to somebody, it's like I'm handing away one of my babies. You know, I really want people to just listen to it. That's my biggest thing. So the more, it seems like I have so much more luck with you know, person to person interaction. I can't get the numbers up there, whereas if every post I shared, I got 100 new people to subscribe to my stuff or whatever. But I sure seem to get a lot more people that are vested interest, you know, that have vested interest in my music in person. So that's the important part for me is I got to play these shows, man. I got to hand these CDs out to people. No one's going to listen to it if I don't give it to them to listen to. Because, you know, they're not, half the time they're not even seeing what I post on the internet. You know, they're not even able to see it. I mean, most of the stuff I put out now is barely seen by anybody unless I pay, and I'm sick of paying. So I guess I'll go play some shows and I'll get them one by one. I don't give a shit, whatever it takes.
Well, you know, if you give Facebook $5, they'll boost it to at least 100 more people.
Yeah,
they'll offer you a free $5.
Yeah, and then you do give them $5 and they don't approve your app.
Right.
like you're panhandling me. I get 15 notifications from you a day to run an ad, and you finally broke my spirit. And I said, "All right, fine, I'll fucking run an ad." And then I submit the ad, and it gets declined for too much text on the image or whatever other bullshit reasons they have for not letting you advertise these days. But that Facebook platform has just become a pile. It's sad that that's what everyone focuses on so much, but man, the only reason I'm on Facebook anymore is because it's a necessary evil.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of, I mean, you do a good job of, kind of talk about that, about marketing yourself via social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. Because I mean, we see stuff from you almost every day or two, but it's not overkill. Where like some people, you'll see a bunch of stuff and it's annoying, but like you do your stuff right, and it's professional, it's interesting. Like, is that something you just kind of learned on your own?
Yeah, it's been a lot of trial and error. I'm a marketing guy. I have a background in marketing. I'm interested in statistics, which is super nerdy, but I am. and my favorite part of the website and my favorite part of my pages are the analytics. So I'm always looking and, seeing who's coming and who's looking at what and what kind of content engages people and what kind of content doesn't. And then I just kind of modify my game plan as I go as far as what's working and what's not. And, there's a lot of times I make a post and I'm like, man, this is going to be a good post. Like, I put a lot of effort and thought into that. That's clever. That's going to work good. And fucking, this post was seen by 19 people.
Yeah.
And then I make some stupid Photoshop thing, and it has a 4,000 person reach because it gets shared 50 times. You just never know. You never know what's going to strike. But I've really been focusing on that stuff, trying to really dial it in, trying to make it easy for people to access my music if they want to, or find out more about me if they want to. I try not to ram everything down people's throat. But you do have to saturate it because, less than 5% of your following actually sees what you post on Facebook. That's why I'm always harping on the website thing, signing up for the newsletter and stuff. You're going to get the direct message from the artist the way they want you to see the message by signing up for the newsletter. I know it's a pain in the ass to give your email out, but that's the message the artist really wants to put out there. They have to be on Facebook, but you're not seeing most of their shit there. So yeah, that's definitely something I focus on because it's super important. These people that are booking shows and all that type of stuff, they're looking at your numbers. And if you're an independent guy like me that doesn't have a huge following and you're just trying to grind it out, they got to see that you're trying to grind and build your numbers. And that's what I'm trying to do too. I want to play and get out there to as many people as I can. So if that's part of the game, you can either fight it or embrace it. And I've kind of chosen to embrace it. So,
kind of a final question, just kind of outside of your music. Last year when we were driving, we were listening to a ton of new metal stuff. Like, what are you listening to these days that you'd want to shout out to people?
Man, the biggest thing I've been listening to, believe it or not, is the new Whitey Morgan record, Hard Times and White Lines.
Yeah.
Man, I can not get enough of that record. I just love the record. I love the songwriting. I love the original tunes on it. I love the cover tunes he did on it. I've just become a huge fan of Whitey Morgan. I went and saw him here in Wichita, and he just had a freaking amazing show. I've really become a huge fan of his. I've been listening to my buddy Sloan Moon's EP a lot. He's a guy from Wichita here. He's a super talented guy with a unique sound. I've been listening to a lot of that. I've been listening to the new Saul. I'm sure you guys are aware about Saul.
Yeah,
that new song they've got that new EP out that's an absolute banger. Dawson actually produced that one, but it's killing and it's gonna be massive. It's looking like, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, those are the things I've been listening to. I'm one of those guys, man. When I get stuck on something, I'll listen to the same record 1,000 times over and over until I know every single word of that album. It's so weird. I don't listen to a ton of variety of stuff. I find one thing or a couple things that I like, and then I just stick on them until I get completely sick of them, and then I come back to them. That kind of thing. Those are the big ones for me.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because one of the things that stuck out from that tour last year was when we first left. You started playing, I don't remember which album, it was one of Unearth's albums, and he had it on a repeat, and it played 3 times in a row, and after like the third hour, Sprout was like, look, dude, I love Unearth, but you got to change this fucking shit.
Well, yeah, Unearth is one of the ones, like, I can listen to that shit nonstop just because it's chaos, and I like that. I mean, I like the stuff that really keeps it moving too. I like really brutal shit. I'm a huge Lamb of God fan. You know, they're one of my favorites of all time. But yeah, man, I really like the brutal stuff, and I can wear shit out. Like my wife's like, can we listen to something besides fucking Whitey Morgan today? Well, I'm barbecuing and drinking beer, so no.
Yeah.
Like when if we're going to the arena to watch Rihanna tonight, we can listen to something else on the way. But while we're sitting on the deck drinking beer and grilling, it's Whitey Morgan. You know. Yeah, she's like, dude, do you ever get sick of this? And I don't even notice it. I find something that I like and I get stuck on it.
Right on, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to do this, and glad we finally got you on here.
Anytime, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I'm anxiously awaiting our tour this summer, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. Well, yeah, just mention real quick.
Oh yeah.
Some of the places you're hitting, like Colorado, Denver, like Colorado Springs and Denver, and
yeah, we've got. Let's see how good my memory is. We've got on 6-6, we've got Avogadro's Number in Fort Collins. On 6-7, we got Zuni Street Brewing in Denver. On 6-8, we got Legends Rock Bar in Colorado Springs. Then we have 6-9 and 6-10 off. 6-11 is a private event in Midland, Texas. This is Norman, Oklahoma at the Deli. 6-13 is Tulsa, Oklahoma at Blackbird. 6-14 is 1927 events in Enid, Oklahoma. 15 is the Elbow Room, Wichita, Kansas. That's all of them. That's all 8.
You got it. We were looking at the list as you went.
I've got it in my head, man.
You were fucking correct on every one of them.
I sent a million emails to line those shows up, so I'm pretty familiar with the dates.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to it, man, and thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate the opportunity, guys. You guys have a good day.
There you go, Dusty Grant. A huge thank you to him for talking to us there for a bit and finally making this podcast happen. His new EP, Trapped Here, has now been out for about a month. So get on Facebook and give him a follow. You can find out everything through that or through his website, dustygrant.com, where you can find the album, but it's on all the digital platforms. He's got physical copies as well. So hit him up and make that happen. Chris Dawson is one of the producers of this thing, who you would know from Seasons After. And speaking of, that's one of our famed 2 lost episodes.
That is, yeah, the lost episodes.
Yeah.
That will never be found.
Yeah, the vocalist for Seasons After and Doyle were both recorded around the same time, and then both got lost when my computer got updated, and I spent like hours trying to recover the shit, but to no avail.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, he also produced, I believe, the band Soul, their new album, and these guys are like #1 currently on Billboard's hard rock chart or mainstream rock chart. They get played on Sirius Octane all the time, so big shout out to Chris Dawson and Dusty Grant here.
Definitely.
Yeah. So if this is your first time listening, dig back through all the past episodes. You can find everything on soundcloud.com/Thunder-Underground. We've had on Sprout several times.
Yes.
Like we mentioned him earlier. We've had on guys from everything from Megadeth to Seven Dust, Kiss, who else? Prong, LA Guns, Slaughter recently. We recently had a couple of guys from Junkyard. Or not a couple, right. All of them, actually. 3
all
of them. Sorry.
Kicks.
Yeah.
Clutch. Did you already say Clutch?
No.
We had Tim from Clutch on.
We've had guys from Candlebox. We've had Shooter Jennings. Kirk Winstein's been on here a couple of times.
COC.
Yeah. A huge long list that, as you can tell, spans doom metal, glam metal, country, punk, everything. So we like to mix it up here. So check back through all our stuff, thethunderunderground.com. Follow us on all the socials. You can listen to us every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central, 1027WSNR.com. And you can also hit us up on Patreon, send us some money, and I guess that covers it for this episode. Unless you got anything witty to say here at the end, I don't know.
I think that's it.
All right.
That wasn't too witty, but I said something.
That's right. All right. Thanks again to Dusty Grant, DEB Concerts, and Med Farm. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.